The night air hung heavy over the ramparts of forgotten citadel, the faint glow of the moon casting long, trembling shadows across the stone. Somewhere beyond the walls, the distant clang of iron hinted at battles long past, yet their echoes lingered still, like ghosts unwilling to rest. In the heart of this darkness, a story unfolded, one that history dared not fully record, yet one that shaped the fate of kingdoms, empires, and secret orders that whispered in corridors of power. It is the story of the Black Knights, a brotherhood cloaked in mystery, whose existence has been obscured by time, by fear, and by deliberate silence. They were said to move unseen, their armor as dark as midnight, their intentions concealed behind veils of secrecy. And yet, they were no mere myth. The traces they left, subtle and scattered across chronicles, letters, and whispers, suggest a power that rivaled that of the most formidable orders of the age. The Templars, whose very name evokes visions of knights in white surcoats adorned with crimson crosses, were the rising sun of medieval Christendom. Their rise was meteoric, born of both piety and ambition, sanctioned by the church, yet feared by kings. They were bankers, warriors, scholars, and guardians of secrets that stretched beyond the understanding of ordinary men. Across the Levant and Europe, their influence grew like a tide that could not be stopped, a force of order and discipline unmatched in an era defined by chaos and conflict. And as their power expanded, so too did the shadows that opposed them. For where light grows, shadows must follow, and the Black Knights emerged from those shadows, moving with a purpose as ancient as the Crusades themselves. What drove these Black Knights remains a question historians cannot answer with certainty. Were they simply a rival faction, formed from disgruntled knights and mercenaries? Or did they serve a higher, hidden purpose? Some suggest they were the instruments of kings who feared the Templars' autonomy. Others whisper that they were emissaries of secretive religious authorities, enforcers of a will that operated beyond the gaze of mortal men. Manuscripts hidden in monasteries speak of black-armored riders who appeared on battlefields with uncanny timing, striking when least expected and vanishing without trace. Arab chroniclers of the Levant, who meticulously recorded the movements of crusaders and sultans alike, occasionally mention shadowed men, whose allegiances were impossible to discern, neither friend nor foe, yet present in the turning tide of war. To the common people, these Black Knights were phantoms, rumors woven into tales of warning and awe. Travelers spoke of encounters along deserted roads, of torches glimpsed in the distance where no campfire should exist, of armored figures who vanished as though they had been swallowed by the night itself. Within this tapestry of legend, the line between reality and imagination begins to blur. Some scholars argue that such stories were fabrications meant to frighten the populace. Others contend that they are fragments of a hidden truth, a truth deliberately suppressed by those who held power. What is undeniable is the consistency of these reports across time and geography, a pattern suggesting an organized presence rather than mere coincidence. Yet the Black Knights were not merely opponents of the Templars in the worldly sense of battle and conquest. Their war was also symbolic, a confrontation that stretched into the realms of ideology, secrecy, and forbidden knowledge. While the Templars represented a disciplined, sanctioned form of devotion, the Black Knights operated in the liminal spaces, outside the rule of kings, outside the reach of the church, governed by codes we are only beginning to understand. Some historians theorize that they served as a counterbalance, a hidden mechanism to check the Templars' power when it grew too vast, too independent, too unchallenged. Others suggest something more esoteric, that their true mission was not destruction, but preservation, guarding knowledge that the Templars themselves could not be trusted to protect. The first mentions of the Black Knights appear sporadically, in the margins of chronicles and in the fragmented correspondence between abbeys and royal courts. They were described as men who appeared when least expected, acting decisively and disappearing without record. Accounts speak of their expertise in both warfare and strategy, but also in subtler arts, cryptography, alchemy, and the reading of signs that escaped ordinary comprehension. Their armor, black as pitch yet polished to an otherworldly sheen, became both a symbol and a warning. The order was present, but its motives were inscrutable. In many ways, they existed not just as physical warriors, but as spectral guardians of a hidden dimension within the crusading world, a world where faith, power, and knowledge intertwined in ways ordinary chroniclers could not articulate. To understand the Black Knights, one must first understand what the Templars represented, not merely a military order, but a revolution in medieval society. The Templars created a network of fortified commanderies, a proto-banking system, and an intelligence apparatus that spanned continents. Their power was structural, systematic, and highly visible. By contrast, the Black Knights operated in opposition and in secret. If the Templars were the architects of the visible order, the Black Knights were the shadow engineers, moving unseen beneath the foundations of Europe's political and spiritual structures. As the moon climbed higher, casting silver light over the citadel's empty courtyards, one could almost imagine the Black Knights moving silently between stone walls, reviewing maps unknown to mortal kings, carrying scrolls of wisdom lost to the ages. Their existence challenges the neat narratives of history, suggesting that behind every triumph of the Templars, another force lurked, testing, countering, observing. It is a history of tension, of balance between light and dark, order and chaos, knowledge and ignorance. The story of the Black Knights begins in this interplay, at the intersection of reality and legend, where every shadow tells a secret, and every secret carries the weight of centuries. This is not a tale of myth alone, nor of imagination conjured in the flickering candlelight of medieval scriptoriums. It is a story embedded in the fragments left behind, the burned manuscripts, the coded letters, the unexplained accounts of travelers and chroniclers. And, as the narrative unfolds, it will reveal that the struggle between the Templars and the Black Knights was far more than a simple rivalry. It was, in every sense, a collision of destinies, a confrontation between forces both human and mysterious, whose echoes continue to reverberate through history, waiting for those willing to peer beyond the veil. The dawn of the 12th century was a time of profound change in Europe. The continent, torn by endless conflict and strife, began to awaken to new possibilities. The Crusades had already begun, though few could have predicted their long-lasting effects. The call to arms came from the Pope, urging Christian knights and nobles to venture eastward in a quest to reclaim Jerusalem from the infidels. It was a war with a divine mandate, one that promised eternal glory for those who fought in the name of God. The Crusades were more than mere wars. They were movements that reshaped the very structure of medieval society, creating new alliances, forging new orders, and revealing the darker currents that ran beneath the surface of religious fervor. In this crucible of ambition and faith, the Knights Templar were born. Formed in the aftermath of the First Crusade, they began as a humble group of monks dedicated to protecting pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. They were founded by a handful of French knights, bound by an oath of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Their task was simple yet noble: ensure the safety of Christian pilgrims on their long journey to the Holy Land, guarding them from the dangers of the wilderness, and providing sanctuary in a region rife with conflict. At least, that's how history remembers them. But beneath the surface of this ostensibly pious mission, the Templars were rapidly evolving into something far greater and far more dangerous. By the early 12th century, the Templars had grown exponentially. Their ranks swelled with knights from across Europe, and their influence spread far beyond the Holy Land. What had begun as a small, religious order dedicated to a singular purpose had quickly transformed into a vast and powerful military organization with holdings across Europe and the Levant. They became more than just soldiers. They were bankers, financiers, and landholders. In an era without centralized banks, the Templars established a system of financial operations that allowed them to transfer money across borders, creating an early form of international banking. They managed estates, lent money to kings, and amassed immense wealth that could rival the coffers of the most powerful monarchs in Europe. The Templars became an economic force in their own right, and with that power came influence, both political and military. But with their rise, they also attracted the suspicion and envy of many, particularly the European nobility. For in a world where power was measured in land, gold, and military might, the Templars had all three in abundance. And yet, they operated outside the authority of any monarch, answering only to the Pope himself. Their autonomy, their secrecy, and their wealth created an aura of mystery that bred distrust. The Church, which had granted them their privileges, began to look upon them with both reverence and caution. Were they the divine warriors they claimed to be, or was there something more? As the Templars established their dominance, strange rumors began to circulate. Whispers spread throughout Europe of their mysterious rituals, of strange symbols and hidden knowledge. Some claimed that the Templars possessed relics of unimaginable power, objects like the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant. Others suggested that they were engaged in occult practices, studying ancient texts that had been hidden away for centuries. These rumors fed the fire of fear and suspicion, and in the hearts of some, the Templars became a symbol not of piety, but of something darker, a force that was not entirely in line with the Church, nor fully aligned with Christendom. It was at this moment, as the Templars' power grew unchecked, that another force began to take shape, the Black Knights. This shadowy faction emerged quietly, like a serpent coiling in the dark, observing, waiting for the right moment to strike. They were not part of the mainstream narratives of history, and their existence has been dismissed by many scholars as nothing more than myth or legend. Yet, the scattered clues point to something far more substantial. It is within this turbulent backdrop, an age of crusades, holy wars, and emerging empires, that the Black Knights begin to take form. The first whispers of these mysterious figures appeared alongside reports of strange activities in the Holy Land. The Templars, for all their might, were not the only group with interests in the region. The Crusader states, a patchwork of Christian territories carved from the eastern Mediterranean, were rife with political intrigue and covert dealings. Amidst the chaos of war and conquest, various factions vied for control, including those who feared the rise of the Templars. The Black Knights were rumored to be an ancient order, one that operated in opposition to the Templars, working from the shadows to undermine their influence. But who were they, and what were their motives? Some believed that they were former Templars, disillusioned by the Order's growing power and its apparent straying from the true path of the Crusades. Others suggested that they were a secret society created by the Vatican itself, tasked with keeping the Templars in check and ensuring that their influence did not spread beyond the control of the Church. Yet others believed they were part of a much older tradition, one that had existed long before the rise of the Crusades, possibly connected to secret knowledge preserved by ancient orders or lost civilizations. Whatever their origins, the Black Knights were said to be a formidable and shadowy presence, moving through the darkness of history with a purpose that was elusive and undefined. They operated in the margins of history, leaving behind only fragmented records, cryptic symbols, and vague references in the writings of travelers and chroniclers. But what is certain is that they were a direct counterpoint to the Templars, a force that represented an alternative to the world the Templars were trying to build. They were perhaps the embodiment of what the Templars could have become if they had embraced darker, more esoteric practices, or the hidden truths they had uncovered in their search for divine relics. The Black Knights, if they existed as more than myth, were not simply rivals to the Templars in the conventional sense. They were a direct challenge to the very foundation of what the Templars represented, a new world order based on religious might, wealth, and influence. The Black Knights were not just fighting for power. They were fighting for control of the deeper mysteries of the world, the knowledge that could shape history itself. And this war, fought in the shadows, would leave behind a trail of secrets that would echo down the centuries, waiting for someone to uncover them. In the quiet corners of history, where the dust has settled and the records have grown faint, the Black Knights continue to haunt the imagination. Were they real, or were they simply the creation of myth? As we delve deeper into the mystery of their existence, we may find that the truth is far stranger and far more profound than we could ever imagine. The Knights Templar, once humble defenders of Christian pilgrims, had ascended to become the most powerful military order in Christendom. From their origins in the deserts of the Holy Land, they had expanded their influence across Europe, their white mantles adorned with the crimson cross of their order. But with great power came great suspicion. They were no longer just knights. They were symbols of an unseen force, operating with a mysterious autonomy that unsettled even the most powerful kings and popes. Their wealth, their secretive nature, and their rapid expansion across the continent only deepened the suspicion that something more was afoot than the official history cared to admit. As the Templars grew, so too did their influence. The order not only commanded vast estates and a fortune in gold, but they had also constructed a network of strongholds, castles, and fortresses that spanned from the rugged hills of Scotland to the distant deserts of the Middle East. This sprawling empire, built upon the wealth of kings, merchants, and pilgrims, was a force to be reckoned with. Yet, despite their vast power, the Templars operated outside the control of any earthly ruler. They were directly beholden to the Pope, an autonomy that made them a law unto themselves. Their rise created deep tensions within the Christian world. Kings who had once praised the Templars for their military prowess began to grow wary. While they had once viewed the Templars as allies in the Crusades, their growing wealth and independence now threatened the established order. Royalty, in particular, saw the Templars' growing influence as a challenge to their own sovereignty. The Knights were an independent force with no accountability to any monarch, and this fact alone was enough to breed distrust. Rumors about the Templars' secretive nature had begun to circulate even before their fall from grace. In royal courts, whispers of their occult practices and hidden rites had taken root. Some claimed that they had uncovered forbidden knowledge, ancient rituals, hidden symbols, and relics of great power during their time in the Holy Land. There were even those who claimed that the Templars were not merely a military order, but that they had a deeper, darker purpose, to guard secrets far beyond the understanding of ordinary men. The Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, and other legendary relics were said to be among their most coveted possessions. This growing suspicion did not go unnoticed. In the courts of Europe, rival factions began to take shape, each vying for control of this powerful and mysterious order. Among these factions was one that had been quietly watching the Templars rise with increasing concern. This was the faction that would one day come to be known as the Black Knights. While the Templars were becoming more visible and their power more established, the Black Knights were a shadow, an elusive force that moved in silence, observing from the edges of history. They were the unseen hand, the counterbalance to the Templars' unchecked ambition. It is important to understand that the Black Knights were not simply another military order. They were something more complex, an enigmatic force whose motives remained shrouded in mystery. Their opposition to the Templars was not just a matter of rivalry. It was a deeper, more philosophical conflict. If the Templars represented the ideal of chivalric order, military discipline, religious devotion, and social authority, then the Black Knights stood in stark contrast. They embodied the forces of shadow, secrecy, and rebellion against the established power structures. They were not beholden to the Pope or any monarch. They were free agents, operating in the margins of the known world, pursuing goals that were as enigmatic as they were ambitious. Some historians argue that the Black Knights were formed as a response to the Templars' growing power, a reactionary order born out of fear and jealousy. The Black Knights, it is said, sought to undermine the Templars by infiltrating their ranks and exposing their secrets. Their mission, however, was not to defeat the Templars in battle, but to challenge their monopoly on power and knowledge. They moved through the shadows, using covert tactics, disinformation, and subterfuge to thwart the Templars at every turn. Whether through assassination, espionage, or manipulation, the Black Knights sought to weaken the Templars' hold on the sacred relics they claimed to protect, and ultimately, to seize that power for themselves. Yet, there is another interpretation of the Black Knights that casts them in a far more mysterious light. Some believe that the Black Knights were not just rivals to the Templars, but a spiritual order in their own right, an ancient brotherhood tasked with guarding knowledge that could transform the very fabric of the world. According to this theory, the Black Knights were not merely concerned with wealth and power, but with the preservation of hidden truths, esoteric knowledge passed down through the ages from the ancient world. They were not the enemies of the Templars, but rather their counterparts, playing a different role in the same grand drama. Whereas the Templars sought to build an earthly empire, the Black Knights sought to protect the spiritual empire hidden beneath the surface of the world. In this light, the Black Knights become more than just a historical anomaly. They become the embodiment of an age-old struggle between two forces, one seeking to establish dominion over the physical world, the other seeking to preserve the metaphysical truths that lay hidden beneath the surface of reality. The Templars, with their pursuit of power and wealth, were perhaps unaware of the deeper mysteries they had uncovered in their search for relics. The Black Knights, by contrast, were fully aware of the forces at play, and they were determined to ensure that the sacred knowledge they guarded would never fall into the wrong hands. The tension between these two forces began to escalate as the 13th century progressed. The Templars, by this time, had become a vast and powerful organization, with their influence stretching across Europe. Yet, despite their dominance, cracks were beginning to appear in the facade of their order. Rumors of corruption, heresy, and secret rituals began to surface, and the papacy, once a staunch ally, began to grow uneasy with the Templars' autonomy. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the course of history. In 1307, the Templars were suddenly arrested across France by order of King Philip IV, who sought to seize their wealth and power for himself. The charges against them ranged from heresy to blasphemy, but the true motivations behind their downfall were more political than religious. As the Templars were systematically dismantled, a hidden force continued to move in the background, watching and waiting. The Black Knights, if they were indeed real, had no need to strike at the Templars in open battle. They had already won the war in the shadows, for they had ensured that the Templars would never fully hold the power they had once dreamed of. The fall of the Templars marked the end of one chapter in history, but it also set the stage for the next. The Black Knights, having succeeded in their mission to undermine the Templars, would continue to operate in the shadows, preserving the knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. And as Europe entered the Renaissance, with its renewed interest in alchemy, mysticism, and the occult, the legacy of the Black Knights would persist, influencing secret societies, esoteric traditions, and movements that sought to unlock the mysteries of the past. In the centuries that followed, the Black Knights faded into obscurity, their true purpose lost to history. But the seeds they planted would grow in unexpected ways, giving rise to the mysteries and legends that continue to fascinate us to this day. And so, the story of the Black Knights, whether as shadowy enemies of the Templars, guardians of forbidden knowledge, or a combination of both, remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of medieval history. The decline of the Templars in the early 14th century marked a moment of deep significance for those who followed the shifting currents of power in Europe. But beneath the political upheaval and the accusations of heresy that ultimately led to their disbandment, a deeper story was unfolding. The disappearance of the Knights Templar was not merely the loss of a military and financial empire, but also the vanishing of a particular kind of knowledge. Knowledge that, once removed from the public eye, would be kept hidden from those not worthy of its secrets. And it was precisely this knowledge, its guardianship and preservation, that became the focus of a more elusive order, the Black Knights. In the wake of the Templars' fall, one might imagine that their enemies, like King Philip IV of France, had achieved their victory. The riches of the Templars had been seized, their leaders imprisoned or executed, and the order officially dissolved by Pope Clement V. Yet, history has a way of hiding its most significant details in plain sight, and in the case of the Black Knights, the true story was far from over. While the visible and tangible remnants of the Templars have been scattered or destroyed, there remained a more intangible legacy, an echo of something that had been carefully preserved and protected. The Black Knights, in their shadowed existence, were the ones who took it upon themselves to safeguard that legacy. What exactly this legacy entailed, however, remains a subject of fierce speculation. Some believe that it was the very same sacred relics that the Templars were said to have possessed, the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or other mystical objects of immense power. These artifacts were rumored to hold secrets that could alter the course of human history. It is no coincidence that legends of these objects persist to this day, from medieval tales to modern conspiracy theories, fueling a fascination with what might have been lost during the Templars' downfall. But perhaps it was not the relics themselves that the Black Knights sought to protect. After all, knowledge has often been regarded as the true key to power. In the case of the Black Knights, their mission was likely more abstract than the physical preservation of sacred objects. What if the Black Knights were less concerned with the Grail or the Ark, and more focused on the esoteric wisdom that these objects represented? What if their true purpose was to ensure that the secrets these relics contained, knowledge of ancient civilizations, mystical traditions, and even forgotten sciences, did not fall into the wrong hands? In order to preserve these truths, the Black Knights had to operate in absolute secrecy. They were not a group that could afford to be known, let alone recognized. While the Templars were a visible and well-established order, their power being both military and economic, the Black Knights were shadows in the corners of history. They were the keepers of the forbidden, the ones who moved in the background, pulling the strings of history without ever being seen. Their task was not only to protect this ancient knowledge, but also to keep it hidden from the world at large. This secrecy was paramount to their survival, as revealing their existence would not only have exposed their intentions, but would have endangered the very knowledge they sought to protect. The methods by which the Black Knights preserve their secrets are not entirely clear, but the symbols and codes they are believed to have used provide some clues. Hidden in plain sight, in the art, architecture, and writings of the time, were subtle hints of their presence. The use of cryptic symbols, unexplained and enigmatic, appeared in religious texts, in the design of castles, and even in the coat of arms of various noble families. These symbols, often thought to be mere ornamentation or the stylized insignia of the Templars or other medieval orders, may have been deliberate markers left behind by the Black Knights themselves. They were codes, hidden in plain sight, designed to communicate with those who knew how to read them. One such symbol that has intrigued researchers for centuries is the cross petit, a variation of the Christian cross that was used by both the Templars and other medieval orders. While this symbol was not exclusive to the Black Knights, Its use in certain contexts has led some to suggest that the Black Knights adopted it as a signature of their own hidden network. The cross patee, with its angular arms pointing outward, evokes both the idea of a militant order and a connection to a more ancient tradition. Its appearance in various pieces of Templar architecture, such as the floor plan of certain castles, has been interpreted by some as evidence of a deeper, secret meaning, one that only those attuned to the true nature of the Black Knights would understand. Other clues can be found in the esoteric traditions of the time. The Black Knights are often associated with the study of alchemy, astrology, and the Kabbalah, branches of knowledge that, while not inherently dark or sinister, were considered dangerous by the Church. These practices were not only a means of understanding the natural world, but also a method of unlocking hidden truths about the divine. If the Templars had access to ancient wisdom through their travels to the East, the Black Knights were determined to safeguard that knowledge, often by decoding it into cryptic forms that could be passed down only to the initiated. Their use of secret codes, signs, and allegories ensured that only those with the correct understanding could grasp the full meaning of their teachings. But while their methods were secretive, the Black Knights were not without influence. They were the quiet architects of change, operating behind the scenes of some of the most significant events in medieval and early modern Europe. As the centuries passed and Europe began to shift toward the Renaissance, the legacy of the Black Knights would find its way into the hands of new generations of seekers and scholars. The rise of secret societies during the 16th and 17th centuries, such as the Freemasons, may very well have been influenced by the traditions and knowledge passed down by the Black Knights. This connection between the Black Knights and the secret societies of later centuries is not just a product of speculation. It is rooted in the ways in which these groups carried forward the ancient wisdom that the Black Knights had worked so hard to preserve. Many symbols and rituals associated with Freemasonry and other secret societies can be traced back to the esoteric knowledge that the Black Knights sought to protect. The connection between the two is one of the most compelling aspects of the Black Knights' legacy. As the centuries progressed, the Black Knights faded into obscurity, their records lost or deliberately destroyed, their symbols hidden in plain sight. Yet their presence can still be felt today in the continued fascination with the Templars, in the secretive nature of modern societies, and in the lingering question of what knowledge was hidden, and who still holds the keys to it. In the end, the Black Knights were more than just a rival faction to the Templars. They were the keepers of something much older and more powerful. Their mission was not simply to oppose the Templars or to amass wealth and power. It was to protect and preserve a hidden legacy, a legacy that would remain veiled for centuries, known only to a select few. And as the world moves ever forward, that legacy continues to echo through history, waiting for the right eyes to decipher its secrets. The centuries following the fall of the Templars in the early 14th century were a time of upheaval, both politically and spiritually. As the Templars were disbanded, their wealth seized, and their leaders executed, the world seemed to witness the disintegration of a monumental force. Yet, for all the apparent finality of their fall, the influence of the Templars did not vanish. In the shadows of history, the Black Knights, those secretive figures who had been operating in the margins of society, would quietly take up the mantle of preserving the knowledge that had once been the exclusive domain of the Templars. Their mission was to safeguard something far more dangerous than wealth: forbidden knowledge, mystical wisdom, and the secrets of the ancient world. But what was this knowledge? And why was it so important that it required such secrecy and protection? Throughout history, there has been a recurring theme of hidden knowledge, esoteric teachings that have been carefully guarded, passed down through small, secretive groups, and kept from the general populace. The Black Knights were, in many ways, the custodians of this tradition. But what exactly were they protecting, and why was it so dangerous? The answer lies in the idea that they were not merely protecting material treasures, but spiritual and intellectual legacies that had the potential to reshape the understanding of the world. Some scholars speculate that the Black Knights were privy to knowledge that predated the birth of Christianity itself, a knowledge that had been passed down through the ancient world. This knowledge, they argue, was not simply theological or religious in nature, but also scientific, philosophical, and even mystical. From the ancient Egyptians to the Greeks, from the philosophers of the Far East to the alchemists of the medieval period, there existed a body of wisdom that had been lost or suppressed over time. The Black Knights, in their role as guardians, were tasked with ensuring that this knowledge was not forgotten, nor corrupted by the rise of mainstream religious and political institutions. One of the central elements of this hidden knowledge, according to various conspiracy theorists and historians, is the concept of sacred geometry. Sacred geometry is the belief that certain mathematical patterns and shapes are imbued with divine significance, and that they hold the key to understanding the structure of the universe itself. The Black Knights, many suggest, were particularly invested in these sacred patterns that could be found in the design of ancient temples, in the construction of sacred buildings, and even in the natural world. These geometric patterns were not simply symbolic. They were seen as a bridge between the material world and the divine. The idea that hidden within the fabric of reality itself are keys to unlock higher truths is one that has fascinated scholars and mystics for centuries. The relationship between the Black Knights and the Templars was far more complex than mere rivalry. While the Templars had focused on building a physical empire through military power and wealth, the Black Knights had focused on something far more intangible: the preservation of ancient spiritual truths. For the Black Knights, knowledge was the ultimate form of power, and they understood that the world could be shaped not just by armies and kings, but by ideas. It was through the subtle manipulation of these ideas that they believed they could influence the course of history. They did not seek power in the conventional sense. Rather, they sought to guide the flow of human thought, to steer it in a direction that would ultimately bring about a new understanding of the world. This desire for a new understanding of the world is perhaps most clearly seen in the Black Knights' connection to alchemy. Alchemy, which had its roots in ancient Egypt and Greece, was the practice of transmuting base metals into gold, but it was also a spiritual and philosophical discipline. For the Black Knights, alchemy was not merely about turning lead into gold. It was about achieving spiritual enlightenment and unlocking the mysteries of the universe. Alchemists believed that the physical and spiritual worlds were interconnected, and that by mastering one, they could gain insight into the other. It is possible that the Black Knights, through their study of alchemy, were seeking not just material wealth, but spiritual transformation. This pursuit of spiritual transformation would have been central to their secretive practices, and it would have placed them at odds with the church and the political authorities of the time, who viewed such pursuits as heretical. As the Renaissance dawned in the late 15th century, a new intellectual movement began to take shape. The rediscovery of ancient texts, the rise of humanism, and the flourishing of art and science led to a rebirth of interest in the esoteric traditions that the Black Knights had long preserved. While many of these ideas were expressed openly through the writings of thinkers like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, others remained hidden, accessible only to those initiated into the deeper mysteries. During this period, secret societies began to take shape, some of which were influenced by the Black Knights and their esoteric teachings. The Freemasons, in particular, are often cited as one such group, with many of their symbols and rituals believed to be rooted in the same sacred knowledge that the Black Knights had guarded for centuries. In this way, the Black Knights were not merely a product of their time. They were a bridge between the ancient world and the modern era. Their preservation of hidden knowledge ensured that the wisdom of the past would not be lost, but would continue to influence the thinkers and artists of future generations. This influence can be seen in the development of scientific theories, artistic innovations, and even political ideologies that would shape the modern world. Yet, Despite their enduring influence, the Black Knights remain elusive figures in history. While there are many theories about their true nature and purpose, concrete evidence about their existence is scant. What we know about them is largely based on fragments of legend, the symbols they left behind, and the documents they supposedly left hidden. It is this mystery, the ambiguity surrounding their actions and their true motives, that has kept the Black Knights shrouded in secrecy and intrigue. The question remains, were the Black Knights merely a group of disaffected knights seeking to protect their own interests, or were they something much larger, keepers of ancient wisdom and secret knowledge that could change the course of history? The lack of definitive answers has only fueled the speculation and fascination with their legacy. As with many secret societies and hidden movements, the more one delves into the mystery, the more questions arise. In the end, the Black Knights represent a paradox. On one hand, they are seen as the champions of secret knowledge, guardians of the ancient wisdom that could unlock the mysteries of the universe. On the other, they remain elusive figures, their true purpose and intentions still hidden from view. What is certain, however, is that their influence has endured through the centuries, shaping the course of history in ways that are still not fully understood. Whether as silent manipulators behind the scenes, or as true seekers of enlightenment, the Black Knights have left an indelible mark on the world, a mark that continues to intrigue and mystify all who seek to uncover their secrets. As the centuries passed, the Black Knights faded further into the shadows, their existence buried beneath layers of historical obscurity. Yet, in the quiet recesses of European society, their influence did not vanish. While their official records and outward presence seemed to have disappeared, the knowledge they preserved began to leak into the broader world. Secret societies began to emerge, groups that would carry the Black Knights' esoteric wisdom into the modern age. These societies were not merely about wealth or political power. They were about the transmission of secret knowledge and the preservation of ancient truths that had been passed down from the time of the Templars and earlier. The most well-known of these groups, the Freemasons, are often cited as heirs to the hidden legacy of the Black Knights. But to understand this connection, one must first look at the symbolism and rituals that these secret societies embraced. The Freemasons, in particular, are known for their use of complex symbols, many of which seem to have a direct lineage to the enigmatic symbols used by the Black Knights. From the all-seeing eye to the compass and square, Freemason rituals are replete with imagery that is said to be derived from ancient, esoteric traditions. The Black Knights, according to some theories, were the original custodians of these symbols. The use of sacred geometry and numerology, in particular, is a key thread that runs through both the Freemasons and the Black Knights. Sacred geometry, the belief that certain geometric shapes and patterns hold divine significance, was at the core of the Black Knights' secret knowledge. They believed that these patterns not only held the key to understanding the structure of the universe, but also offered a way to access higher spiritual realms. The Freemasons, who came into prominence in the 16th and 17th centuries, were likely aware of these ancient traditions and incorporated them into their own rituals. The Masonic Lodge, with its square and compass symbol, is said to be a direct descendant of the Black Knights' teachings. In addition to their symbolic legacy, the Black Knights are also believed to have passed down a vast body of esoteric knowledge to these secret societies. Alchemy, astrology, and Kabbalah, each of these mystical traditions was preserved and passed down through the centuries by these hidden groups. The Black Knights, while they may not have been the only custodians of this knowledge, were certainly among the most influential. They saw themselves not just as protectors of material wealth, but as stewards of a deeper spiritual truth that, if revealed, could change the course of human history. The connection between the Black Knights and the Freemasons is not merely speculative. Historical records and documents show that many of the founding fathers of the United States, including George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson, were Freemasons. These men, who played a central role in shaping the future of the Western world, were likely influenced by the same esoteric ideas that the Black Knights had worked to preserve. The influence of Freemasonry can be seen in the design of the nation's capital, in the symbols on the Great Seal of the United States, and in the architecture of key buildings such as the Capitol and the White House. Many of these structures incorporate the same sacred geometric patterns and Masonic symbols that are said to have originated with the Black Knights. But while the Freemasons may have been the most prominent inheritors of the Black Knights' legacy, they were by no means the only ones. Other secret societies, such as the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, and the Knights of Malta, are believed to have shared in the knowledge that the Black Knights preserved. These groups, each with their own unique beliefs and agendas, drew upon the same mystical traditions that the Black Knights had safeguarded. The Rosicrucians, for example, were a group of mystical thinkers who believed in the power of alchemy and the ability to transmute both material and spiritual elements. The Illuminati, a later group founded in the 18th century, sought to promote enlightenment through the spread of secret knowledge. Both of these organizations, in their own ways, can be traced back to the intellectual and spiritual foundations laid by the Black Knights. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Black Knights' legacy is the way in which they have remained hidden in plain sight. Their symbols and teachings continue to influence modern society in ways that many people are not even aware of. Take, for example, the pyramid with the all-seeing eye, the symbol that graces the back of the U.S. $1 bill. This symbol, which has long been associated with Freemasonry, is thought by some to be a direct connection to the Black Knights. The all-seeing eye, a symbol of divine omniscience, is said to represent the hidden knowledge that the Black Knights sought to protect. The pyramid, with its many levels, is a metaphor for the ascent to spiritual enlightenment, a journey that the Black Knights believed could only be undertaken by those who were truly initiated into the deeper mysteries. Even more intriguing is the role of the Black Knights in the context of the modern world. Some theorists suggest that the legacy of the Black Knights continues to exert influence on global politics, finance, and culture. The idea that a hidden elite drawing upon the esoteric knowledge of the Black Knights has been shaping the course of human history for centuries is one that has captivated the imaginations of conspiracy theorists for generations. According to these theories, the Black Knights' desire to control knowledge, and by extension, control the world, has not waned. Instead, it has simply taken on new forms, hidden behind the institutions of power that govern modern society. One of the key elements of his ongoing influence is the concept of occult power. Occult power refers to the ability to manipulate hidden forces, whether they be spiritual, psychological, or political, in order to achieve a particular end. The Black Knights, with their deep understanding of the occult sciences, were believed to have been adept at using these forces to shape events in their favor. Whether through the manipulation of symbols, the use of secret knowledge, or the control of influential figures, the Black Knights were thought to possess the ability to influence the course of history from behind the scenes. In this way, the Black Knights represent more than just a historical anomaly. They're a symbol of the hidden currents that run beneath the surface of history. Their legacy, though largely invisible, continues to shape the way we understand power, knowledge, and the world around us. And as we continue to uncover the secrets they left behind, the question remains, how far does their influence truly reach? Are we living in a world still shaped by the Black Knights' hidden wisdom? Or have we, as a society, moved beyond their influence? The answers, it seems, are still locked in the shadows, waiting to be discovered. The world of the Templars and the Black Knights was one of shadows and half-truths, where history records only the faintest traces of what truly occurred. While the Templars operated openly, building castles, managing estates, and fighting in the Crusades, the Black Knights moved in a more subtle and deliberate manner, influencing events without leaving obvious traces. Their strategies were not dictated by armies or fortresses, but by timing, secrecy, and the meticulous orchestration of circumstance. They were invisible players on the grand stage of medieval Europe, a ghostly counterforce to the growing might of the Templars. There are accounts, fragmented, scattered, and often contradictory, of encounters between the Black Knights and the Templars in the Holy Land. Chroniclers wrote of mysterious warriors appearing in battles, tipping the scales in unexpected ways, and disappearing as if swallowed by the desert sands. These knights were not just mercenaries. Their actions seemed purposeful, targeted, and highly strategic. Unlike conventional armies, which operated with clear objectives and allegiance, these shadowy figures were almost impossible to classify. Some Templars believed them to be divine instruments, while others whispered that they were emissaries of the devil or agents of a secret cabal. One of the most persistent theories surrounding the Black Knights is their connection to the most sacred relics sought by the Templars: the Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, the Spear of Longinus. These legendary artifacts were more than just objects of religious devotion. They were believed to contain profound knowledge and power. According to some accounts, the Templars had discovered or obtained some of these relics during their campaigns in the Holy Land, and it was precisely this knowledge that attracted the attention of the Black Knights. The shadowy order was said to have followed the Templars' movements, not to challenge them militarily, but to monitor and, if necessary, intervene in the protection or relocation of these artifacts. The methods of the Black Knights were subtle and sophisticated. Unlike conventional warfare, their strategies often relied on espionage, misdirection, and the use of coded communication. They were said to possess knowledge of secret passages, hidden chambers, and tunnels beneath the castles and fortresses controlled by the Templars. Some chroniclers report that the Black Knights used elaborate decoys and feints to distract the Templars while relocating relics or safeguarding crucial information. These tactics were highly effective because they left no trace of intervention. The Templars would find themselves baffled by the sudden disappearance of key documents or objects, often suspecting internal betrayal rather than an external force. What is particularly fascinating about these operations is the suggestion that the Black Knights were not merely opponents, but also, at times, guardians. While they were in conflict with the Templars in terms of secrecy and influence, their actions may have been motivated by a desire to prevent sacred knowledge from falling into the wrong hands. In this light, the Black Knights can be seen not as destroyers, but as curators of hidden truth. They ensured that relics and documents of extraordinary significance were protected, even from those who might have possessed the best intentions, but lacked the wisdom or discipline to safeguard them. One notable story that persists in the margins of history involves the supposed relocation of Templar archives. According to some accounts, when the Templars were facing persecution in France, the Black Knights intervened to secure certain manuscripts and relics, whisking them away before they could be seized by royal authorities. These materials were never returned to public record, disappearing into hidden networks that may have spanned Europe for decades, if not centuries. Some historians speculate that these hidden archives contained not only strategic and financial records, but also esoteric knowledge, rituals, maps, and encoded messages that detailed the location of sacred artifacts and the deeper mysteries the Templars had uncovered during their campaigns. The Black Knights' expertise in cryptography and encoded communication played a critical role in their success. Manuscripts and letters were often written in complex ciphers, incomprehensible to anyone outside the inner circle. Symbols, seemingly innocuous, were embedded in architecture, frescoes, and religious iconography, serving as markers for those who knew how to read them. A cross carved at a particular angle, a pattern repeated in stone, or even a seemingly mundane architectural feature could convey critical instructions or warnings. These methods allowed the Black Knights to operate across great distances, coordinating their efforts without ever revealing their presence. The interplay between the Templars and the Black Knights also had psychological dimensions. The Templars, despite their power and discipline, were human. The constant awareness that an unseen force could intervene in their plans created a sense of unease and uncertainty. There are records suggesting that some Templar leaders came to question their own loyalty and the fidelity of their order. Were they truly acting in the will of God, or were they unwittingly participating in a larger game, a hidden conflict they could not fully comprehend? This psychological tension, whether induced intentionally or merely a byproduct of the Black Knight's secretive operations, highlights their sophistication as a shadow order. Even the timing of key events suggests a level of strategic patience that goes beyond mere opportunism. The Black Knights seemed to act only when conditions were ideal, intervening at the precise moment that would maximize impact while minimizing exposure. Unlike conventional military forces, which required engagement and risked open confrontation, the Black Knights relied on discretion, subtlety, and the careful manipulation of circumstance. Their influence was thus both immediate and enduring, leaving effects that would ripple through the centuries long after individual battles had ended. Perhaps the most enduring mystery is the question of their ultimate goal. Were the Black Knights seeking power, as many secretive groups are assumed to do? Or was their mission something far more abstract, to guard the hidden truths of history, to protect knowledge that could either elevate or destroy, depending on the hands in which it fell? The answer is unclear, but the sophistication of their operations suggests a purpose that was both deliberate and far-reaching. They were not simply fighting battles for land or wealth. They were shaping the destiny of knowledge itself. What is certain is that the Templars, despite their military might and political influence, were never able to fully penetrate the veil behind which the Black Knights operated. While the Templars' libraries, fortresses, and records were eventually seized or destroyed, the Black Knights ensured that their own secrets remained intact, preserved for those with the knowledge and skill to interpret them. This tension, the public power of the Templars versus the hidden influence of the Black Knights, represents one of the most fascinating and enduring enigmas of medieval history. The interactions between the two orders, as fragmentary as the records are, paint a picture of a conflict that was as much about ideas, symbols, and knowledge as it was about armies and battles. In this way, the Black Knights were not merely footnotes in history. They were custodians of a hidden dimension, guardians of the mysteries that the Templars themselves could not fully comprehend. Their legacy, though shadowed and secretive, has left an indelible mark, a web of intrigue, cryptic symbols, and vanished relics that continues to tantalize historians, treasure hunters, and seekers of the esoteric even today. The Black Knights, operating in the shadows of medieval Europe, were not merely warriors of steel and blood. They were guardians of profound, forbidden knowledge. Throughout history, secret societies have often been associated with hidden prophecies and mystical rituals, tools of power that extend beyond the physical world. The Black Knights, some believe, were intimately connected to these traditions, carrying the weight of ancient prophecies and cryptic rituals that could alter the course of history. But what were these prophecies, and what role did they play in the Black Knights' actions? To understand the prophecies they may have followed, we must first look at the ancient sources that inspired them. For centuries, Europe had been steeped in mysticism, with scholars, alchemists, and theologians searching for divine knowledge hidden within sacred texts. The prophecies they encountered were often cryptic, veiled in layers of symbolism and metaphor. These ancient writings were believed to contain predictions of world-altering events, visions of apocalyptic destruction, the coming of a Messiah, or the revelation of lost knowledge. To the Black Knights, These prophecies were not just spiritual guidelines. They were a roadmap to hidden truths, knowledge that had been buried by time or deliberately suppressed by powers who feared its potential. One of the most significant prophetic texts believed to have influenced the Black Knights was the Book of Enoch, an ancient Hebrew text that was excluded from the biblical canon but survived through various mystical traditions. In this book, the prophet Enoch is said to be taken up to heaven, where he learns the secrets of the universe and is shown visions of the future. Among the most compelling aspects of the Book of Enoch is its description of the Watchers, fallen angels who descended to earth and taught humanity forbidden knowledge. These teachings, ranging from astrology to metallurgy, from writing to divination, were seen as both a blessing and a curse, for they gave mankind the power to reshape the world, but also led to their eventual downfall. The Black Knights, many scholars believe, were aware of these teachings and sought to preserve the knowledge of the Watchers, understanding that it was both dangerous and powerful. The rituals and beliefs they followed were steeped in these ancient teachings, though they often obscured the true meaning behind symbols and practices. These secretive rites, handed down through the ages, were thought to be capable of unlocking the mysteries of the universe and bestowing power upon those who could decipher their meanings. Another crucial set of prophecies linked to the Black Knights are those tied to the Holy Grail. It is widely believed that the Grail itself was not just a cup used by Jesus during the Last Supper, but a repository of divine knowledge, hidden wisdom passed down through generations. According to some interpretations, the Grail was meant to be hidden until the world was ready for its revelations. The Black Knights, much like the Templars before them, are said to have actively searched for the Grail, but their interest was not merely to possess a physical relic. They sought the knowledge embedded within the Grail's mysteries, which were believed to contain the keys to the very creation of the universe. One theory holds that the Grail's power is rooted in sacred geometry, the idea that certain mathematical and geometric principles govern not only the natural world but also the spiritual realms. The Black Knights, versed in these sacred formulas, believed that understanding these principles could unlock a higher state of being, granting access to knowledge that would allow them to control or even transcend earthly limitations. Some also believe that the Grail held the key to unlocking immortality or divinity itself. This understanding of the Grail as a symbol of mystical knowledge and divine power is central to the Black Knights' activities, influencing not only their quest for relics, but also the secret rituals they practiced. But what are the rituals themselves? What did the Black Knights practice in their hidden sanctuaries away from prying eyes? According to several esoteric sources, the Black Knights were deeply involved in alchemical rituals, many of which were said to transform both the individual and the world around them. Alchemy, often dismissed as mere superstition or pseudoscience, was, in the eyes of the Black Knights, a sacred art that sought to unlock the spiritual and material mysteries of the universe. The central goal of alchemy was the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance believed to have the ability to turn base metals into gold and grant immortality. The Black Knight's pursuit of the Philosopher's Stone was, however, more than just a quest for wealth or power. In the alchemical tradition, the transformation of lead into gold symbolized the transmutation of the soul. The Black Knights, like many other esoteric groups, believed that the process of alchemy mirrored a deeper spiritual process, one of purification, enlightenment, and ascension. By undergoing the alchemical work, they sought to purify their own souls and unlock higher forms of knowledge that transcended the material world. Some even believe that the knowledge required to create the Philosopher's Stone was directly connected to the sacred geometry and divine knowledge hidden within the Holy Grail. In parallel with alchemy, the Black Knights were also involved in astrological rituals. Astrology, which was once regarded as a science, was integral to the Black Knights' understanding of the universe and their place within it. According to certain texts, The Black Knights studied the movements of the stars and planets in order to gain insights into future events, make important decisions, and time their actions. They believed that celestial alignments could influence the spiritual and material realms, and that understanding these cosmic cycles was key to unlocking the divine knowledge they sought. One of the most well-known figures associated with the Black Knights is Nostradamus, the famed French astrologer and seer whose prophecies continue to captivate the public's imagination. It is said that Nostradamus himself may have been aware of the Black Knight's secret activities, and that his quatrains, filled with cryptic references to kings, nations, and cosmic events, were in some way connected to their hidden prophecies. His predictions of cataclysmic events and the rise of great leaders were seen by some as a coded map of future occurrences, including the possible return of the sacred knowledge they had long sought. Some conspiracy theorists argue that Nostradamus was not just a prophet, but an active member of the Secret Order, tasked with weaving the future into his writings to guide the Black Knights in their quest. The idea that the Black Knights held the keys to prophecy and ritual raises profound questions about their role in shaping history. If the Black Knights did indeed possess access to such powerful knowledge, did they use it to manipulate events? Were they the unseen hand behind critical historical moments? Some suggest that the fall of the Templars, the rise of the Protestant Reformation, and even the birth of Freemasonry were not merely the result of political or religious upheaval, but the fulfillment of prophecies set into motion by the Black Knights centuries earlier. One of the most intriguing aspects of their hidden rituals is the idea of prophetic cycles. The Black Knights, in their studies of sacred texts, may have believed in a repeating pattern of history, a cycle of rise and fall, of enlightenment and destruction. Prophecies, from this perspective, were not linear predictions of the future, but a map of recurring themes that guided the actions of the Black Knights. They saw themselves not as agents of change in a conventional sense, but as stewards of a larger cosmic order, protecting and guiding the flow of time, ensuring that hidden knowledge would remain safe until the world was ready to rediscover it. These rituals, prophecies, and mystical practices were not merely academic interests for the Black Knights. They were the core of their existence. The pursuit of knowledge was not just for personal gain, but a sacred duty, an obligation to preserve the ancient truths that, if revealed too early, could destroy the very fabric of society. Their ultimate goal, it seems, was not to rule the world through direct control, but to ensure that the world's deepest mysteries remained protected, waiting for the right moment in history when humanity would be ready to understand them. As we move closer to understanding the true nature of the Black Knights, we find that their influence didn't simply vanish into history, but rather embedded itself deeply in the modern world. Their myths and symbols have lived on in secret societies, legends, and even geopolitical affairs that continue to reverberate across centuries. To understand how their legacy endures, we must first explore how the Black Knights were perceived by those who came after them, and how their influence quietly reshaped the course of history. The disappearance of the Templars in the early 14th century was a catastrophic event, especially for those who believed the order held the keys to profound secrets. When King Philip IV of France ordered the arrest of the Templars in 1307, the arrest was not just a political move. It was a deliberate and ruthless effort to seize the enormous wealth and influence the order had accumulated. But it was also the first step in a series of actions that would push certain Templars, who managed to escape the purge, into the shadows, away from prying eyes. The Black Knights, according to some historians, were the surviving, clandestine faction of the Templars, the remnants of a secretive organization that refused to allow the world's most powerful secrets to be exposed or destroyed. The most fascinating element of the Black Knights' modern legacy is not just their survival as a secret society, but how they appear to have re-emerged throughout history in various guises, always operating behind the scenes, influencing major events in ways that remain obscured. The Black Knights are often associated with the foundations of Freemasonry, a fraternal order that emerged in the early 18th century. Many Freemasons claim a direct connection to the medieval Templars, asserting that their order inherited the Templar legacy, including their symbols, rituals, and even their sacred knowledge. The Templar cross, the square and compass, and other ancient symbols adopted by Freemasons are thought to have originated with the Black Knights, who were believed to have preserved and guarded these emblems as part of their hidden legacy. The Freemason connection is not just symbolic. It is said that the Black Knights, understanding the need to protect knowledge while still preserving their influence, carefully embedded themselves in the fabric of society. By taking on the guise of respectable institutions, charitable organizations, builders' guilds, and fraternal lodges, they ensured their secrecy while maintaining the ability to shape societal development. The mysterious and influential men who rose through the ranks of these organizations were often rumored to have been initiated into deeper layers of knowledge, initiated into ancient rites that connected them directly to the hidden traditions of the Black Knights. It is said that many of the most powerful figures in history, from the founding fathers of the United States to European monarchs and political leaders, were members of secret societies that, knowingly or unknowingly, carry the Black Knights' ideals into the future. But the legacy of the Black Knights is not confined merely to the creation of fraternal orders or esoteric groups. Their influence can also be seen in the symbols they left behind, symbols that have continued to surface in places of power, wealth, and influence. The Black Knights were masters of symbology, understanding the power of hidden messages and the way symbols could shape perception, both on a subconscious level and in the collective unconscious of society. Their use of symbols was strategic, designed to communicate with those who knew how to decode them, and to obscure their true intentions from those who did not. Many of the symbols associated with the Black Knights, crosses, geometric shapes, and cryptic sigils, can be traced through various cultures and institutions throughout history. Some of these symbols appear in the architecture of churches, government buildings, and secret rooms, all reflecting the hidden influence that the Black Knights exerted over the world long after their physical order disappeared. One particularly interesting symbol tied to the Black Knights is the Black Cross. This symbol, which is often associated with both the Knights Templar and later the Black Knights, appears repeatedly in different forms, from heraldic crests to secret handshakes in modern fraternal orders. The Black Cross is said to represent both the martyrdom of the Knights and their connection to a higher divine knowledge. In many ways, it serves as a visual cue to their existence in the world, hidden in plain sight. It was used not only by the Black Knights, but by those who inherited their mantle. The prominence of this symbol in the heraldry of modern-day secret societies, including Freemasonry, points to a continued reverence for the mysterious and transcendent truths the Black Knights protected. However, their influence is not merely symbolic. The Black Knights' modern-day impact is perhaps best exemplified in the covert power dynamics that continue to shape geopolitical events. Some conspiracy theorists argue that the Black Knights, through their symbolic descendants like Freemasonry and other hidden societies, have been active players in the formation of global political and financial systems. The interwoven connections between powerful elites and secret societies, according to these theories, are not merely coincidental. Rather, they reflect a long-standing effort to control world affairs, using the esoteric knowledge and cryptic systems passed down by the Black Knights. This influence, however, is not always transparent. The Black Knights, if they still exist in some form, are believed to operate behind the scenes, pulling strings in high-level politics, economics, and even warfare. While there is no concrete proof of their direct involvement in modern-day events, many point to historical patterns where secretive, powerful groups have shaped the course of history. From the founding of the United States to the creation of the European Union, Some suggest that the modern world's political landscape is a reflection of the Black Knights' hidden legacy. The idea that there are shadow governments or elite cabals working from the shadows is a recurring theme in conspiracy circles, often linked to the Black Knights. Moreover, the symbols they left behind are not only present in the physical world, but also in popular culture. Movies, books, and TV shows are rife with imagery that evokes the Black Knight's hidden influence, from the iconic Da Vinci Code to Dan Brown's exploration of Templar conspiracies. These works, while fictional, carry elements of truth in their portrayal of secret societies, cryptic rituals, and the hidden knowledge that has been passed down through generations. They highlight a fascination with the Black Knights that transcends time, pointing to an underlying cultural recognition of the Order's enduring influence. But what do these symbols and covert operations mean for us today? The modern fascination with the Black Knights can be seen as a reflection of society's continued search for hidden knowledge, for understanding the true forces that shape our world. Whether it's through the rise of conspiracy theories or the increasing interest in esoteric practices, there is a growing desire to peel back the layers of history and uncover what has been suppressed or obscured. The Black Knights, as a symbol of mystery and power, represent our collective yearning to unlock the secrets that remain hidden in the shadows of history. In the end, the question remains, are the Black Knights still active today? Do their hidden networks still operate in the shadows, continuing their work of safeguarding ancient knowledge? While there is no definitive answer, one thing is certain: their legacy is far from over. The myths, the symbols, the secretive operations, they are all part of an enduring mystery that continues to captivate the human imagination, pushing us to question the forces that have shaped our world and to seek the hidden truths that lie just beyond our reach. Throughout history, the Black Knights have been linked to a variety of powerful and mystical artifacts, relics whose existence has often been shrouded in mystery. These artifacts, whether lost, hidden, or deliberately suppressed, have become central to the mythos surrounding the Black Knights. For centuries, many have speculated that these treasures hold the key to understanding the full scope of the Black Knights' power and knowledge. Their legacy, some believe, is not only written in history, but also inscribed in the very objects they guarded, objects that continue to shape our perception of the Order and their secretive activities. One of the most famous artifacts tied to the Black Knights is the Holy Grail. While the Grail itself is often associated with the Templars, many believe that it was the Black Knights who continued the search for the legendary cup, safeguarding its location and protecting its secrets long after the public dissolution of the Templars. The Grail was said to possess unimaginable power, and it wasn't simply a relic of Christian history, but a symbol of ancient wisdom, with ties to occult traditions and lost knowledge. The Black Knights, some argue, were not after the Grail for its religious significance alone, but for the deeper esoteric secrets hidden within it, secrets that could potentially reshape the future of humanity. There are several theories surrounding the Grail's true nature. Some suggest that it was not merely a physical object, but a symbol of divine knowledge or an ancient technological artifact, one that could grant immortality or provide access to higher realms of existence. Others believe the Grail was merely a vessel for powerful knowledge that had been passed down through generations, hidden from the masses for fear that it might be misused. Regardless of its true form, the Black Knights are thought to have continued the search for the Grail, whether to protect it from enemies or unlock its mysteries for their own purposes. Their pursuit of the Grail would have been far more than a religious quest. It would have been a mission to acquire knowledge that could alter the course of history. Alongside the Grail, other artifacts have been linked to the Black Knights, each carrying with it its own legend and mystery. The Spear of Destiny, said to be the weapon that pierced the side of Jesus during his crucifixion, has long been associated with powerful secret societies, including the Black Knights. Throughout history, various individuals and groups have sought to possess the spear, believing it granted its wielder unimaginable power and dominion over the world. The spear's connection to Christ and its supposed ability to grant divine authority made it a prized possession for anyone seeking to control the fate of nations. Some believe that the Black Knights were among the last groups to hold the spear in their possession, guarding it carefully in secret. The Spear of Destiny is said to have passed through several hands over the centuries, often causing turmoil wherever it went. Whether the Black Knights were the original guardians of the spear or simply continued its legacy remains unclear. However, what is certain is that the Black Knights, much like their predecessors, understood the symbolic power of such relics and their ability to shape the fate of the world. The possession of the Spear of Destiny, according to some conspiracy theories, could explain why certain historical leaders, such as Napoleon and Adolf Hitler, sought it with such fervor. It is said that the spear brought with it a certain kind of divine mandate, a power that could lead empires to either greatness or ruin. In addition to the Grail and the spear, there are also claims that the Black Knights possessed hidden maps, ancient documents that revealed the locations of treasures, sacred sites, and forgotten knowledge. These maps, often thought to be written in cryptic codes or encrypted symbols, are believed to be the key to understanding the true extent of the Black Knight's reach. They may have led to lost cities, hidden temples, or even the final resting places of important historical figures whose graves contained artifacts of immense power. The Knights, being adept at reading hidden signs and symbols, would have used these maps to safeguard their most important relics, ensuring that they remained hidden from the prying eyes of the world. One of the most famous examples of such a map is the Piri Reis map, a world map from the 16th century that appears to show parts of the Americas and Antarctica, areas that were supposedly unknown to European cartographers at the time. The existence of such a map raises questions. How did the makers of the Piri Reis map possess such detailed knowledge of the world, including the outlines of lands that had yet to be discovered? Some theorists argue that the Black Knights, or secret societies tied to their legacy, were involved in the creation or preservation of such maps, using them as tools to protect and hide the most valuable treasures and knowledge from the rest of the world. The idea of hidden maps leads us to the concept of sacred geography, a belief that certain locations on Earth are imbued with mystical power or that they mark the places where important events in history will unfold. The Black Knights, as guardians of ancient knowledge, are thought to have had access to such sacred locations, which were often hidden from public view. These locations may have been the sites of great battles, where the forces of light and darkness struggled for dominance, or they may have been the resting places of powerful figures whose influence still echoes in the modern world. The Black Knights, it seems, were not simply interested in collecting relics for the sake of wealth or power, but in preserving and protecting ancient knowledge that, if revealed, could change the world as we know it. Their collection of artifacts wasn't a treasure hunt. It was a sacred mission. These objects were not just remnants of a forgotten past, but pieces of a larger puzzle that could potentially unlock the door to forbidden knowledge, a knowledge that had been kept hidden for millennia. The true purpose of the Black Knights, according to some theories, was to ensure that this knowledge remained concealed until humanity was ready to understand it. The Rosetta Stone, another artifact with mysterious connections to the Black Knights, may serve as a perfect example of this hidden knowledge. The Rosetta Stone, which unlocked the secrets of Egyptian hieroglyphs, is sometimes said to have been rediscovered by those in the Black Knight Circle, who recognized its significance in decoding not only ancient languages, but the mysteries of the past. By understanding these symbols, the Black Knights could unlock the hidden history of humanity and bring to light truths that had long been suppressed by the powers that controlled the world. For the Black Knights, the collection of such artifacts was not simply about power or influence. It was about maintaining a delicate balance. If these items fell into the wrong hands, they could be misused, leading to disastrous consequences. As such, the Black Knights took great care to guard these relics, ensuring that only those who were deemed worthy could access them. The safeguarding of these treasures wasn't just a matter of physical protection. It was also about preserving the spiritual and intellectual integrity of these objects, preventing them from being corrupted by the greed or ambition of lesser men. In the modern era, the search for these lost artifacts continues. Adventurers, historians, and treasure hunters continue to comb through ancient ruins, secret libraries, and private collections, hoping to uncover the relics once guarded by the Black Knights. The fascination with these lost treasures is not just about their historical value or their monetary worth. It is about the hope that one day the world will unlock the secrets they contain. Whether or not these artifacts still exist, or whether they have been hidden away for eternity, remains a matter of speculation. But the search for them, and the myths surrounding them, continue to captivate the imagination of those who seek the deeper truths of our past. In a modern world, conspiracy theories surrounding the Black Knights continue to thrive, expanding in scope and complexity as new information, both real and imagined, emerges in the public sphere. These theories often place the Black Knights at the center of some of the most pivotal events in history, including major geopolitical movements, the rise and fall of powerful empires, and even the manipulation of global financial systems. But what is it about these theories that captivates so many, and why does the legacy of the Black Knights continue to play such a significant role in contemporary discourse? At the heart of these modern conspiracy theories is the idea that the Black Knights are not just a relic of the past, but are an ongoing, secretive organization that continues to influence world events from behind the scenes. These theories claim that, while the Templar Knights were publicly disbanded by the Catholic Church and their assets seized by the French monarchy in the 14th century, many of the original Templars escaped and went underground. The Black Knights, as they're often called, are said to have restructured into a shadowy network of elites that operates through various secret societies, such as the Freemasons, the Illuminati, and other hidden orders. They are believed to possess not just material wealth, but also ancient knowledge, a knowledge that could alter the course of human history if it were to be revealed. One of the most widespread conspiracy theories suggests that the Black Knights were involved in the creation of modern banking systems, using their vast wealth and influence to control the flow of money around the world. This theory is often traced back to the activities of the Rothschild family, whose rise to power in the 18th and 19th centuries coincided with the expansion of banking empires across Europe. The Rothschilds, according to some theories, are believed to be direct descendants of the Black Knights or secret allies of the order. The claim is that the Black Knights, operating in the shadows, set up banking systems that would allow them to control entire economies, manipulate global markets, and ultimately amass even greater wealth and power. This theory suggests that the Rothschild family, with their deep connections to European royalty and governments, acted as a front for the Black Knights' financial activities, using their influence to secretly manipulate world events. The belief that the Black Knights control global financial systems leads to the idea that they may have been behind some of the most significant economic crashes and financial crises in modern history. From the Great Depression in the 1930s to the more recent 2008 global financial collapse, some conspiracy theorists argue that these events were not the result of random market fluctuations, but were orchestrated by a hidden elite, namely the Black Knights, who used their control over international banks and financial institutions to cause widespread economic damage. According to this theory, the Black Knights create and exploit crises as a means of consolidating their power, further centralizing wealth and resources, and eventually pushing the world toward a new global order, one that is fully under their control. But the Black Knights' influence, according to these theories, doesn't stop at economics. Their purported reach extends into politics as well, particularly in terms of the way governments are shaped and manipulated. Some theories argue that world leaders, particularly those who have attained positions of significant power, are merely puppets controlled by the Black Knights. The idea is that these leaders often selected from elite bloodlines or secret societies, are placed into power by the hidden hands of the Black Knights, who use them to push forward an agenda that serves their interests, an agenda that is often seen as working toward the establishment of a totalitarian global government. Many prominent political figures throughout history are said to have had connections to the Black Knights, whether through Freemasonry, occult societies, or other secretive groups. The connection between Freemasonry and the Black Knights is especially significant. The Freemasons, with their elaborate rituals and hidden symbolism, are often viewed by conspiracy theorists as the modern-day successors of the Black Knights. This connection is said to explain why many influential figures, from political leaders to business magnates, are members of the Freemasons or other related organizations. According to some interpretations, Freemasonry and the Black Knights are part of the same secret network, with the Masons acting as the public face of an ancient, global conspiracy to control and direct the world's future. The Black Knights' influence, however, extends beyond just financial and political manipulation. Some theories posit that the order was involved in the manipulation of scientific progress, particularly in relation to the discovery and suppression of advanced technologies. For example, the idea that the Black Knights may have hidden away advanced technology that predates modern civilization is a recurring theme in conspiracy circles. These technologies, which are said to have been far more advanced than what was available in their time, could provide answers to some of the world's most pressing issues, from sustainable energy solutions to advanced medical treatments. The Black Knights, according to this theory, may have hidden these technologies from the public, either to maintain their power or to prevent humanity from achieving certain advancements that would alter the global power structure. This idea ties into the larger concept of ancient knowledge, the belief that the Black Knights, as custodians of forgotten or suppressed wisdom, have intentionally kept certain information from the public, whether it's knowledge of alternative medicine, ancient civilizations, or even extraterrestrial life. Conspiracy theorists argue that the Black Knights hold the keys to understanding these mysteries, but they have chosen to keep them hidden in order to maintain control over humanity. By controlling knowledge, they are believed to control the way people think and act, ensuring that the population remains ignorant of the true nature of reality and the potential for human evolution. As we move further into the 21st century, the idea of a global conspiracy continues to resonate with many people. The Black Knights, whether real or imagined, are seen as a symbol of hidden power and secret knowledge. Their enduring influence in conspiracy theories can be seen as a reflection of our collective mistrust of those who hold power and control. In an age where information is increasingly manipulated, and where transparency is often lacking in governmental and financial institutions, the idea that a small group of elites could be orchestrating global events seems more plausible to some than ever before. Yet, as with all conspiracy theories, it's crucial to approach these ideas with a degree of skepticism. While it's tempting to believe in a hidden network of powerful individuals pulling the strings behind the scenes, the reality may be far more complex, and the true workings of global power may be less conspiratorial than some would like to believe. However, the continuing fascination with the Black Knights and their rumored control over various aspects of society speaks to our desire for answers. It reflects a deep-seated belief that the world is far more mysterious and secretive than it appears on the surface. Whether or not the Black Knights continue to exert influence over modern history, their legend endures, and perhaps, in many ways, that is the most enduring power they possess. At the heart of the Black Knights' legend lies a rich tapestry of mysticism, occult practices, and symbolism, a language of secrecy and hidden meaning that has fascinated scholars, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike for centuries. Their rituals, much like those of other secret societies, were designed to communicate esoteric knowledge that was intended to be understood only by the initiated. These rituals weren't just ceremonial or symbolic. They were tools for the transmission of ancient wisdom, a code through which the Black Knights could pass on their secrets without fear of exposure. One of the most significant elements of Black Knight lore is their use of rituals that were deeply influenced by ancient mystery schools, particularly those from Egypt, Greece, and Mesopotamia. These traditions were said to teach the initiate how to access hidden realms of knowledge, including secrets about the nature of the universe, the human soul, and even divine forces. The Black Knights, as some claim, drew upon these traditions to create their own complex system of initiation and secrecy, an intricate set of rituals that was designed to lead the initiate through various stages of enlightenment, often culminating in a direct communion with the divine. A central concept in many of these rituals was the idea of death and rebirth. Initiates would go through symbolic death, often represented through physical trials, symbolic burial, or an experience of near death, before being reborn into a higher state of consciousness. This mirrors the structure of the mystery religions of the ancient world, such as those of Isis and Osiris in Egypt, or the Eleusinian mysteries in Greece, where initiates were believed to undergo a transformative experience that connected them to the divine and granted them access to secret knowledge. It is believed that the Black Knights adopted and modified these ancient rites, using them to initiate their members into a deeper understanding of the mysteries of existence. A particularly intriguing aspect of Black Knight rituals is the use of symbols, which were thought to hold deep metaphysical meaning. These symbols were not just decorative. They were keys to understanding hidden truths about the world and the self. The most iconic of these symbols is, of course, the cross, which was central to both the Templar Knights and the Black Knights. However, the Black Knights are said to have adopted variations of this symbol, embedding it with additional layers of meaning. The cross, in their interpretation, was not merely a Christian symbol of sacrifice, but a representation of spiritual ascent, a bridge between the material world and the divine realms. Beyond the cross, other symbols associated with the Black Knights include the pentagram, the eye, and the sword, each carrying its own esoteric meaning. The pentagram, often associated with the occult, represents the harmony of the five elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. To the Black Knights, the pentagram symbolized the balance of these elements within the initiate and their journey toward enlightenment. The eye, sometimes depicted as the all-seeing eye, is a symbol of divine perception and omniscience, suggesting the initiate's ability to see beyond the physical world into the spiritual and cosmic realms. The sword, as a symbol of both defense and enlightenment, represents the Black Knight's commitment to fighting ignorance and protecting knowledge at all costs. These symbols were woven into the very fabric of the Black Knights' daily life and rituals. They adorned their clothing, their altars, and the architecture of the secretive spaces they frequented. Many believe that the Black Knights intentionally embedded these symbols into their surroundings in order to constantly remind themselves of their sacred mission and the knowledge they were sworn to protect. The use of these symbols was not only an expression of spiritual devotion, but also a method of cognitive programming, a way to keep the initiate focused on their spiritual ascent, while constantly reinforcing the mystical worldview of the Black Knights. The process of initiation itself was said to be highly secretive and involved complex rituals that were not revealed to the initiate until they reached a certain level of understanding. These initiations were often staged in remote, hidden locations, far away from the prying eyes of the uninitiated. Some theories suggest that the Black Knights used secret underground temples, hidden beneath the ground in old monasteries or castles, to perform these sacred ceremonies. These locations were designed to create an atmosphere of mystery and reverence, ensuring that the initiate felt a sense of awe and wonder at the knowledge they were about to receive. The secret handshake, passwords, and mystical chants used by the Black Knights were also said to be part of their initiation process. These elements serve to bind the members of the order together and to create a sense of unity and secrecy. The handshake, for example, was a way for initiates to recognize each other, even in public, without revealing their true identities. The use of passwords and chants was a way of communicating deeper truths that could not be spoken aloud, protecting sacred knowledge from being shared with the wrong people. These practices have been adopted by many secret societies throughout history, including the Freemasons and the Illuminati, further adding to the allure of the Black Knights and their connection to the hidden world of the elite. Perhaps one of the most intriguing elements of Black Knight rituals was their relationship with the goddess archetype, a powerful figure in many of the ancient mystery traditions. Some theorists argue that the Black Knights revered a particular female deity, whose presence was woven into their most sacred rituals. This goddess, often associated with the principles of wisdom, protection, and transformation, served as a guide for initiates, leading them through the process of spiritual awakening. This goddess may have represented the feminine aspect of the divine, the aspect that is both nurturing and destructive, protective and fierce. It is possible that the Black Knights drew upon the goddess tradition to balance the traditionally masculine aspects of their order, symbolized by the sword and the cross. Rituals associated with the goddess might have included meditations, sacred dances, or chants, designed to invoke her presence and allow the initiate to experience divine wisdom firsthand. These rituals were highly secretive, passed down only to those who had proven themselves worthy of such knowledge. According to some theories, the Black Knights' commitment to the goddess archetype was one of the reasons they were able to maintain such a deep and enduring connection to esoteric wisdom. They did not just seek power for power's sake. They sought to unlock a higher state of consciousness, one that would bring them closer to the divine. In contemporary discussions of the Black Knights, these esoteric practices are often linked to modern-day occultism and mysticism, with some believing that the Black Knight's hidden knowledge continues to influence current occult traditions. Secret rituals, hidden symbols, and the mysteries of the past are still alive in various forms today, with groups claiming to follow in the footsteps of the Black Knights, preserving the sacred traditions, while guarding the deeper truths they uncovered so long ago. While the specifics of the Black Knights' rituals remain largely unknown, their connection to ancient mystery traditions, symbolism, and spiritual ascension forms a key part of their enduring legacy. The practices they left behind, whether in the form of secret texts, ritualistic objects, or hidden knowledge, continue to fascinate those who seek to understand the esoteric forces that shaped the course of history. As long as the world remains captivated by the idea of hidden knowledge and mystical power, the Black Knights will remain a symbol of secrecy, enlightenment, and the eternal search for truth. The allure of hidden treasures and mystical artifacts has always been an essential part of the legend surrounding the Black Knights. Throughout history, the belief in secret treasures guarded by powerful, secretive organizations has sparked countless expeditions, theories, and investigations. According to various historical accounts, the Black Knights are rumored to have not only been stewards of ancient knowledge, but also keepers of powerful artifacts, objects of immense spiritual, historical, or mystical significance. These items, some say, hold the key to unlocking profound secrets about the ancient world, the true nature of human history, and even the fate of civilization itself. One of the most well-known artifacts associated with the Black Knights is the Holy Grail. While the Grail's connection to the Knights Templar is widely known, many conspiracy theorists and alternative historians claim that the Black Knights were also heavily involved in guarding or hiding the Grail. The Grail is believed to be not merely a physical chalice, but a symbol of the divine knowledge and bloodline that the Templars and Black Knights were entrusted to protect. According to some theories, the true Grail is not the cup itself, but a sacred bloodline, the descendants of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. The Black Knights, as protectors of this secret, are said to have hidden both the Grail and the bloodline from the prying eyes of the church and the secular world. While the Holy Grail is the most famous, it is by no means the only artifact tied to the Black Knights. Another object shrouded in mystery is the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark, according to biblical lore, is said to contain the Ten Commandments and is described as a powerful vessel that was capable of incredible feats. Some legends suggest that the Black Knights were tasked with protecting the Ark, either in a physical form or as a symbol of sacred knowledge. This belief ties into the broader narrative that the Black Knights were not just protectors of religious artifacts, but keepers of esoteric wisdom that transcended mainstream religious teachings. Beyond these more famous artifacts, there are also numerous hidden treasures that are believed to have been amassed by the Black Knights during their time in the Holy Land during the Crusades. These treasures are said to include priceless relics, manuscripts, and even lost technological knowledge. The Temple Mount in Jerusalem, in particular, is often cited as the location where these treasures were hidden. According to some accounts, the Black Knights used their extensive network of allies and secretive rituals to transport these treasures to safe houses in Europe, where they were buried or hidden in remote locations. These treasures, some believe, remain hidden to this day, waiting to be discovered by those who are worthy enough to understand their significance. One of the most intriguing aspects of these hidden treasures is the role that secret maps play in their location. The Black Knights, like many secretive orders, are said to have drawn detailed maps, encrypted or encoded in such a way that only an initiated few could decipher them. These maps are believed to show the locations of hidden caches of treasure, sacred sites, or even lost civilizations. Some historians argue that the Black Knights used coded maps to conceal their treasures, embedding hidden clues in the landscape, architecture, and artwork of the time. For example, ancient cathedrals and churches are often said to contain hidden references or symbols that, when decoded, reveal the locations of Black Knight treasures. One of the most famous examples of this is the Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland. This chapel, with its intricate carvings and esoteric symbolism, has long been associated with the Templars and, by extension, the Black Knights. Conspiracy theorists have suggested that the chapel contains hidden references to the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, and other Black Knight artifacts. The chapel's architecture, with its cryptic imagery of pillars, angels, and arcane symbols, is believed by some to be a map, a guide to where the treasures of the Black Knights are buried. Some theorists even claim that the chapel itself is a symbolic key, representing the hidden knowledge the Black Knights sought to protect. In addition to maps and physical treasures, the Black Knights are often believed to have concealed valuable manuscripts and books. These texts, thought to be of immense spiritual and intellectual importance, may contain lost teachings from ancient civilizations or even advanced scientific knowledge. For example, some believe that the Codex Gigas, the so-called Devil's Bible, contains hidden information related to the Black Knights. Other texts, such as the Dead Sea Scrolls, are also thought to be connected to the order, as they are believed to contain secret knowledge about early Christianity and the true nature of religious history. The idea that the Black Knights could have hidden or suppressed these texts speaks to the broader theory that the order sought to control the flow of knowledge, ensuring that only the initiated had access to these profound truths. The connection between the Black Knights and sacred geometry is another fascinating aspect of this treasure hunt. Sacred geometry, the study of geometric shapes and patterns that have spiritual significance, is believed by some to hold the key to unlocking the hidden locations of Black Knight treasures. The Black Knights are said to have been masters of this ancient science, using it to create coded patterns in their architecture, artwork, and even landscapes. The idea is that these shapes and proportions form a map that, when correctly interpreted, leads to the treasure. Some conspiracy theorists have even linked sacred geometry to the structure of ancient sites like the Great Pyramid of Giza, Stonehenge, and the Pueblo cliff dwellings in North America, arguing that the Black Knights used these sites to conceal their most precious secrets. Throughout history, various individuals and groups have claimed to have found traces of the Black Knights' hidden treasures. From the Knights Templar treasure hunts in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, to modern-day expeditions in search of the Holy Grail, there has been no shortage of people convinced that they are on the verge of discovering these ancient secrets. However, the true locations of the treasures remain elusive, and many of the claims to have found them have been met with skepticism. This has only added to the mystique of the Black Knights and their legendary wealth. In the modern age, the quest for Black Knight treasures has become an enduring part of the larger mystery and conspiracy culture. It's a search that promises not just material wealth, but the chance to unlock the secrets of the past, secrets that could potentially rewrite history itself. Whether or not the treasures and artifacts actually exist, the belief in them continues to fuel curiosity, adventure, and fascination with the Black Knights. Their hidden treasures, whether real or mythological, represent the ultimate prize in a never-ending quest for forbidden knowledge, a quest that has captivated the imagination of seekers for centuries. The legacy of the Black Knights extends far beyond medieval Europe, echoing in the structures and rituals of modern secret societies. Groups such as the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, and even certain elite academic and fraternal organizations are often theorized to carry forward the traditions, symbols, and esoteric knowledge once guarded by the Black Knights. While the original order may have disappeared into history, their influence is said to persist in these modern institutions, preserving a hidden network of wisdom, ritual, and hierarchy. Symbols play a central role in this continuity. The cross, the pentagram, and the all-seeing eye, all associated with the Black Knights, can be found embedded within the insignia, architecture, and ceremonial practices of modern societies. These symbols act as both markers of identity and vessels of encoded knowledge, allowing initiates to connect with centuries-old traditions without public exposure. Initiation rituals, secret handshakes, and encrypted oaths further reflect the Black Knight's methodology of passing knowledge only to those deemed worthy. The idea of guarding forbidden knowledge, a principle central to the Black Knights, is mirrored in these contemporary organizations. Initiates are guided through staged experiences, moral trials, and symbolic teachings that echo the transformative initiations of the past. Some historians suggest that these practices are not mere theatricality, but a continuation of an ancient blueprint for cultivating discipline, wisdom, and spiritual awareness among those within the order. In essence, the Black Knight's symbolic legacy survives not just in artifacts and myths, but in the very frameworks of secrecy and ritual still visible today. Their influence is subtle yet profound, a thread connecting the past to the present, reminding us that certain knowledge may never fully be lost. It merely changes form, waiting for those who know how to see it. The Black Knight's enduring influence can be seen not only in the past, but in the subtle threads woven into the modern world. While much of their power remains hidden behind layers of secrecy, traces of their presence appear in unexpected places, from the architecture of ancient cathedrals to symbols embedded in modern institutions. Their methods of encoding knowledge, using rituals and symbolism, ensured that even if their physical order disappeared, their wisdom could survive in fragmented forms, waiting for those who could interpret it. Modern conspiracy theorists often link the Black Knights to influential elites, secret societies, and mysterious global events, suggesting that their hidden hand may still guide pivotal decisions from behind the scenes. Whether through the protection of sacred artifacts, the transmission of esoteric knowledge, or the careful orchestration of social and political influence, the Black Knights are portrayed as custodians of truths too dangerous or profound to reveal to the masses. Their legend is not just a story of vanished knights or lost treasures. It is a narrative of vigilance, secrecy, and the preservation of hidden knowledge across centuries. In a world increasingly fascinated by mysteries, their shadow continues to provoke curiosity, skepticism, and a sense of wonder about what truly lies beneath the surface of history. The Black Knight's legacy, shrouded in centuries of mystery and speculation, continues to captivate the imagination of historians, conspiracy theorists, and seekers of hidden knowledge alike. Despite the centuries that have passed since their prime, their influence, whether symbolic, spiritual, or perhaps even practical, remains a tantalizing thread woven through the fabric of history. From the guarded secrets of the Templars to the mystical rituals, sacred artifacts, and cryptic maps that they are believed to have protected, the Black Knights embody the archetype of the ultimate guardians of forbidden knowledge. Their story is not merely one of martial prowess or religious devotion. It is the story of an organization committed to preserving the hidden truths of humanity, often in the shadows, far from the public eye. Even in the modern era, their mythos persists, influencing secret societies, occult traditions, and the endless fascination with lost treasures and esoteric wisdom. The Black Knights, whether real, symbolic, or somewhere in between, serve as a reminder that history is often layered, and that beneath the surface of accepted narratives lie secrets that challenge our understanding of the past. Their enduring mystery invites each generation to question what is hidden and what is meant to remain so.